3.
God, I look like shit.
2, 1. Welcome.
Do you like doing the countdown?
No, I mean, it's not necessarily a like. It's more of a habit. Am I coming through okay? Can you see the thing?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
Our computer, our camera's gonna die probably 20-ish minutes in. So at the end of this episode is probably gonna cut.
It's 9:36.
Word. Apologies to anyone last week who saw my fucking balls. Not really, but I was giggling because I was editing the episode and I was wearing these like really loose pants, and you could just like I was wearing underwear. Oh boy, the dog's coming through. Hopefully she doesn't knock anything over. Let's see how she does.
She's very careful.
Good girl. Good girl, Joes.
Oh, yeah. What's up, dog?
This is Josie. Everyone knows Josie. So what's up, Karl? How are things? By the way, these beers are all Karl's, not mine.
Shut up, dude. This is my first one. This episode is sponsored by Michael Bob Ultra.
I think this is gonna be the first episode of these episodes that I'm doing it a little intoxicated, but we're gonna see how it goes. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. Who knows?
Probably fine.
You see Shane Gillis put out a new special?
I'm so excited to watch it.
Me too. We should watch that tonight instead of the fucking Ahsoka.
More like Ahsoka, am I right? Fuck Disney. Fuck you, Bob Iger. I think that's who runs Disney. Bob Iger.
Yeah, I think so. I think I missed the train of
Star Wars stuff.
Star Wars, yeah. I was gonna say Disney, but specifically Star Wars. Like, you love Star Wars, Justine, Colin. You guys all love Star Wars. I just was never into it as a kid, and I think it's the same thing with Marvel. Like, if you didn't get into it at a certain age, I think it's a lost cause, and you're just not.
But I feel like you got into Marvel late. Like, I was so into Iron Man as soon as it came out.
I liked Iron Man. Like, I watched it, and I was like, this is cool. But, like, I watched Star Wars, but I never thought it was cool as a kid. So it took me a while. It's this shit where, like, you watch the new Marvel movies, and they suck ass. But part of me is thinking is because they're just trying to cater to a younger audience to get a new generation, like, obsessed with Marvel. And I think it's just a little bit because they progressed with us, right? Like,
yeah.
we saw Iron Man as a kid, and then the MCU kind of got cooler and more developed and stuff. And as we grew older, it came to a climax, and now they're at a restarting point, and it's like a kids movie again. But at the same time, Iron Man wasn't really a kids movie. Like, if you go watch the OG Iron Man, it's fucking brutal.
Yeah, things now are a lot more catered to younger audiences. The dialogue is so campy, and like there's so many more one-liners and just fucking bullshit, dude. It sucks. Fuck you, Bob Iger. I hate you.
I don't think he has any say in the writing of it.
No, he doesn't. It's Kevin Feige. What a twat.
Fuck Kevin Feige. What's Kevin Feige
He's
do?
the CEO of Marvel. Like, so Disney owns all these things, but they still have separate things. Like, Kathleen Kennedy runs Star Wars, and Kevin Feige runs Marvel. Bob Iger's just the head honcho of it all. Tier 1 lizard person.
Tier 1.
That guy. Well, actually, he's probably tier 2 because we know his name. All the tier 1s are underground.
I can already
They're
tell.
under the Silver Lake.
I can already tell. This is going to be blown out. I'm going to adjust something or not blown out. It's going to be fucking under Jonathan.
Why don't we move the that light so that it's not...
I don't care.
Okay,
I don't care.
What?
People only watch this thing like in passing. No one actually watches the fucking podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit better for clips, but I mean,
Okay.
it is what it is. I can use a different clip.
Professional.
Yeah, we're super professional over here. I saw something on TikTok about, like, it was a stupid fucking video. It was that, like, when you realize kind of fucking, like, meme.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, like, when you realize that kids nowadays being obsessed with the 90s is, like, the same as, like, when kids our age like when we were growing up, we're like obsessed with like the fucking 70s and shit like that.
Are kids obsessed with the 90s right now?
Yeah, dude. It's like fucking look around. You see kids walking down the street dressed in fucking baggy jeans and skateboarding and stuff. Listening to the Deftones.
Fucking stupid sunglasses and shit.
That's the Y2K thing. I can't fucking stand that. I've talked about that though. I don't want to get into the my hate for Y2K.
I feel like people our age that are pretending to like Y2K have to be lying.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's bullshit, bro.
You think we're getting old now, you know? And do you know anybody our age that like you're trying to be too young? Do you know anyone like that yet?
Fuck. I was just thinking about this recently.
Well, I was thinking about it when I just learned what the phrase serving cunt meant. Apparently serving cunt is like a good thing. I thought serving cunt was like, oh, like you got a cunty attitude. But serving cunt is apparently like badass bitch kind of thing.
Yeah.
And when that was explained to me by our dear friend, first off, it was explained wrong because I was like, oh, is that like, yeah, you're like acting like a cunt? And he was like, yeah. And then Cameron told me it was like being a badass bitch.
Yeah.
You know?
Also known as a cunt.
Also known as a cunt.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I can. What were you thinking? You said you were thinking about it earlier.
I don't know. Yeah, I can't remember what the specific example was or who I fucking met recently. I think it was like something that had to do with somebody in their 30s like getting fucked up with like 20-year-olds at a bar or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, we live in the city of like the king of cities of people that are trying to hang on to their youth, you know? I mean, there are people that are legitimately 20 years older than me that are more youthful in their cultural knowledge than I am.
Yeah, but it never comes off as like, oh shit, like this guy's young. It's always like this 40-year-old really likes pop culture. Mm-hmm. Never like
why is this 42-year-old the biggest Travis Scott fan I've ever met?
Yeah, like people who like try to act like the oldest thing you can do is to try to act young. You know? Yeah. Like there's no reason for you to be fucking 37 and dressing like you're 23. Absolutely no reason.
But you have to find a balance because the cuntiest cunts are the people out there that are like 24 years old and they're like ordering like a scotch on the rocks at a bar and they're like, you know what I mean? Like acting way too old. People that like are self-proclaimed old souls. Fuck that.
Self-proclaimed old souls.
That is so stupid.
Yeah.
Like if you ever say like, I'm an old soul, go fuck yourself. Back to the drawing board. Figure out a new character trait for yourself.
What you mean by I'm an old soul is I'm fucking boring.
I'm a fucking loser and you probably aren't going to like the conversation I'm about to have with you. Anyway, but I'm a pretty old soul, so.
I told you you're going to have to carry this episode because I'm 1, 2, 3, a 4, a 5 in.
Plus all that vodka you drank.
Lies. We just recorded a live set for my stuff, Sungrove stuff.
What time do we start this?
This is 9:36, I think you said.
36? Okay, cool.
We just recorded the live set for the Sungrove stuff. I think it went pretty well. I'm always astonished at how bad live sessions sound when they're recorded. Like when you see a live set, it's got energy and like you hear the room and things like sounds bouncing off the walls and you got the energy of other people. And then when you take that exact same live set and only hear it through like close mic'd instruments, it lacks so much energy. And so I've been mixing the whole thing for the past couple days, and it's proven quite difficult to because I don't want to make it sound like a recording. Like, I don't want to make it sound.
Yeah, it's always tough because it's you have to. I mean, we like some of it was close mic, some of it was DI, and you want it to. And it's so much more complicated than being like, let's just throw like a room reverb on the master and it'll sound like it's in a room. And it's like, it's tough. You know, that's why when you get to the level where you can actually do this, like at a venue, it's cool because you have
get the mics
on the crowd and you have mics around the room that like capture all of that for you. And then also mix that in with all the close mic'd jaundice.
Yeah.
You know?
But I find that I'm making it sound like shittier in a way. Not like I'm purposely fucking up the sound, but I hear the recording and I'm like, all right, I could try to make this as clean as absolutely possible. But then it's just like then it's just a weird recording that's like kind of shitty and maybe a little less tight than it would be if I recorded it in a studio. So it's like I have to keep that in mind while I'm mixing it, and I have to be like, all right, what's the best way to like bring that live energy to the fucking thing. And what it comes down to is like I have a reverb on the fucking bass, which for those of you who like record, you don't really do that for the most part. I mean, you can sometimes, but reverb is like the sound of like the room, and it's like really, you know, it's kind of like an echo, which you don't usually do on lower frequency, low end.
Oh, if you're like in a tunnel and you hear like your voice expanding out all over the space, that's reverb.
You know, you said like we use the word reverb in front of Colin, and Colin doesn't like write, record, or mix music or anything like that. And he asked, "Is like, what's reverb?" And it was such a difficult thing to describe to someone, and you gave the great explanation specifically to Colin, which was like the Halo theme song. That's reverb.
Yeah.
Which is just like a vocal track with reverb.
Well, because that's a really specific sounding soundtrack in that, because reverb and delay are essentially the same thing. So if you describe reverb in a technical sense, you're just going to describe delay, and people are going to think, oh, like an echo. And then you have to go, yes, but no. And that just makes it even worse. But that example is like perfect because it's literally just the most famous reverb for somebody our age that's kind of nerdy would ever think of.
We did the same thing that we did for Devil Lock, but for reverb, in case anyone doesn't know.
Okay.
Ready? This is reverb.
You know?
And then this is not reverb.
Yeah.
Fun. That whole
Fun.
The describing things in like a technical standpoint versus describing it like in layman's terms, as people would say, it's so difficult to like break things down, especially being a musician and like having been in music for so long. A lot of the things that you understand are like really internalized, and it's really difficult to like describe to somebody. Like, have you ever tried to describe somebody what a phrase in music is? Like a phrase of a song?
No.
It's really hard. Because the answer, and when I say phrase, I don't mean like a singular like melody. I mean, it's like a section of music. And it's hard to describe because you could describe it as like, it's either like 8 bars or 16 bars. And that's like a lot of, if you don't know how to like,
you have to go down into the subdivisions of everything, and it's fucking difficult.
And you can't explain it to somebody like that. So you have to explain it in like a, you know how you just like kind of know where like the music is going to change
or repeat
or whatever it is. Then it's a weird concept to try to describe to somebody. But I'm sure everybody feels that way. I was thinking about that since I started working at this restaurant, and I'm like watching like the chefs work, and I had that thought today about I really don't want to use the word masterful. I don't want to use the word masterful. But when you're in when you understand a world so well and you understand a skill super well, it can seem as if these things are very natural and that people should just understand them, when in reality you have to recognize that they are learned things. And the fuck is my point?
That
it's gone.
Teaching is tough.
Yeah, teaching is tough.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why, specifically in regards to music, why I never pursued lessons of any sorts, like teaching, because it's so hard to teach somebody how to. I always use the term "speak the language." It's super, super tough because it's been second nature since, I started piano lessons when I was like 5 years old. And I got that base knowledge when it's super easy to absorb it from somebody that had been teaching for decades. And then after that, like I didn't learn how to teach it to somebody else. And I've only ever been friends with other people who were also interested in learning it at different paces. But at this point, we're all relatively the same. And it's so hard for me because you can teach somebody like, okay, like play a C chord, and everybody could get the answer right, but they could have totally different interpretations of how much they know about what that means.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't necessarily really want to talk too much about teaching, but like I am a music teacher, and that's one of the things that I have to do. And one of the things that I've found is that it's like as a instructor or a teacher, it's very important for you to be able to discern what's important information right now. Yeah. Because like the answer of what is a C chord, when a kid goes, how do I play a C chord? The answer is very complex. It's like you have your root note, third, and fifth, and these strings are tuned to this. So you put your fingers here because this is, each fret is a half step. And then by the time you explain all that, they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Or you can just teach them how to play the C chord and just you'll get to all the other shit as needed.
Exactly.
You know?
But in like not necessarily, yes, you just like, this is where you put your fingers, but then also you don't want to relay the information of like, you put your fingers here and this is a C chord. That's because that's not the answer. The answer is like one way to play a C chord, and the easiest way is this. And that's all you tell them, and then that's their C chord. But they know in the back of their mind that this is the way they play it.
Yeah.
And so they can continue to learn and continue to play songs without necessarily making the solid, like concrete, this is how you play. You know what I mean? You give the amount of information that you need to do the thing while still leaving room to expand on that knowledge. When was the last time you tried to learn like a new skill? Like really brand new. Like not building off something like you're like, I've never done this before.
Unfortunately, coffee, probably like latte art, becoming a better barista, shit like that, for the purpose of like when we were moving out here and needing to find a way to get like a well-paying job.
Yeah.
So that for sure, especially like given that now I've gone from like knowing fucking nothing to like knowing a fucking shit ton in the last 2 years, 3 years almost. But as my own, on my, not for like a job, synth stuff before that, like learning about that because it went from like when I was playing with my resident's like grandmother, that was the first time.
Grandmother is a synthesizer, not a person.
Not a person. Sorry. Yes, it is a synthesizer. But that was like the first time I ever really fucked around with a hardware synthesizer for longer than like 30 minutes, and then just so much research into that. And then now being able to understand the signal path on pretty much anything, and being passionate about it. So probably that.
Do you think that because there's always the stereotype and like the idea that boomers and like I know a couple of them watch this podcast, you old fucks, like you guys they don't get technology, right? When the iPhone comes out, it's like, what the fuck is this? Do you think that our generation will have the same problem? Because I don't. Because I think the underlying skill that our generation grew up learning was adaptivity. I mean, there was so much new technology was coming out when we were growing up, and still. And it's like it was very like the skill of becoming familiar with new tech is like a skill in itself.
Yeah. I agree with you. There's a certain aspect to it, like specific things that I think maybe it's just my difficulty with things, or maybe I think there is a certain aspect to it that remains, which is like more of like the palpable like shifts in the way that like social media works and things like that is hard for me to grasp. And yeah, I've kind of like, other than looking at memes and shit, I've avoided use of or participation in social media for the last 3 years. But
you can learn it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's easy for you to learn. Yeah. That's different because you are like, there's a new app. I don't give a fuck.
And it's
I'm
also
not learning
an insecurity thing of like trying to pursue music and being like, what the fuck am I going to do with this?
Yeah, but like once you downloaded TikTok, how long did it really take you to understand TikTok?
Well, I've barely used it, but
you get how it works.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's not. I'm not like an old person trying to fucking get on there. And
how crazy is it going to be when in like fucking 15 years, 20 years, when the kids are like, yeah, like, you know, fucking Neuralink, you just think about it and then you just know the answer. And we're like, what the fuck? When I was a kid, you had to go to Google. You know?
Yeah. So what about you? What's the new hobby that you've learned? New skill? Anything?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I do learn new things all the time, but I feel like I did a really good job. But like as a young person, kid, teenager, I feel like I dipped my toes into so many different things that like there's rarely ever a time where I'm learning something new where I'm like, this is nothing like I've ever experienced. There's rarely something that is like that, I feel like, for me. I don't know. I guess synthesizers is a good example. I don't really know how to work hardware synths. And I can't think of anything that would be like that. So that's something that I don't know how to do. Maybe I'll learn.
Nice. There you go. Exciting.
Yep.
We're at 23 minutes right now.
What a crazy episode. What a crazy, wild roller coaster of an episode. You got any closing thoughts?
No.
What did you want to talk about?
Well, we talked. It's too late now.
We'll just bring it up. Maybe we can just quick, concise.
I hope I don't have to hose human shit off of any windows for the rest of this week. That's what I'm thinking about.
Where was it? Karl said he had to hose some poop.
I did. I hosed poop at fucking 6:30 in the morning this morning.
Oh, God.
Fucking bullshit.
Did we talk about there's an app for San Francisco?
Yeah, the San Francisco Poop Patrol. I know it. Anyway.
The San Francisco Poop Patrol is a fucking app that tells you, like, people like mark. It's like Waze.
Where all the poop is.
It's like Waze. You know how you like mark, like, there's an accident here. And I guess people will just like mark, there's a human poop.
There's so much poop in San Francisco that they had to make an entirely new citizen app just for poop reports instead of, you know, a vague small amount of poop reports in every other city.
Talk about dystopian. the fucking tech capital of the world, using their minds and power to create a poop tracking app. Okay.
We love you, gang.
Bye,
Sorry,
everybody.
it's a little shout out to another podcast. Anyway.
What podcast?
Are you garbage? So they always say. Love you, gang.
Love you, gang.
Anyway.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Let's see if the camera's alive. Is it an audio only episode?
It's alive. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Maybe I'll do the podcast like this next time.
Mr. Loving, Taha, thanks for getting to the end of the episode. We love you. You guys are great.
John Murray. I know John Murray watches a couple of these episodes.
Maybe my mother. Probably not, though.
Probably not. Anyone else you know who watches the pod?
Taha's the only person I know that like will text me and be like, really liked the episode.
Maddie. Maddie watches the pod.
Who's Maddie?
Maddie Hartman.
Oh, what's up, Maddie?
That's your last name, right? No, I shouldn't say people's last names. It's the internet. Whatever. There's probably a million of you guys. All right, bye.